Penguin Random House Audio presents The Upgrade: How the Female Brain Gets Stronger and Better in Midlife and Beyond, by Louann Brizendine, MD. Read for you by Nancy Linari. Note to listeners: this program includes a downloadable PDF that contains diagrams from the book. To my mother, Louise Ann Stocksdale Brizendine, in memoriam. Never stop trying to solve the puzzle of your life. Engage until the very end. Author's note: I thought I would never write another book again. But as I entered the second half of life myself, and started to feel the invisibility reserved uniquely for women of a certain age, something inside me rebelled. I could feel a new power, a new clarity, a laser-like sense of purpose emerging in this phase, and I knew it was time to explore the new science that supported what I was feeling. This was not a slow decline toward the end. I was staring down the most vital, confident, and wise phase of my life. There was a name for the second half of life, and we weren't yet using it. I call it the upgrade. Formerly known as menopause, the upgrade is the phase of life we emerge into when we exit the hormonal war zone, finally able to see and be present to who we are, what we want, and how we want to live. It's a glorious time full of freedom and discovery. As I put the finishing touches on the manuscript, the first female vice president took the oath of office. The cabinet of the 46th president is full of women, most of them also in the second half of life. I began to feel a hopefulness that I thought had been buried with the defeat of the Equal Rights Amendment in the 1970s and 80s. I felt the door to possibility crack open personally and collectively for embracing a productive second half. As a neuropsychiatrist specializing in the impact of women's hormones on the brain, that is, emotions, thoughts, values, priorities, even perception, I think of myself as a medical and psychological scout for the tribe of women. I love going out ahead for reconnaissance, gathering useful information from neuroscience and medical studies to bring back to help others find their own way forward, to understand what is happening to them physically, and how that changes everything from mood to sense of identity. This may sound silly, but it encapsulates my motivation to bring you the information about the road ahead in this book. The Upgrade is about the path to becoming your best deep self. Okay, maybe it's a bit grandiose, but if not now, when? In the second half of my life, I want to upgrade my skills and improve my willingness to take responsibility for doing so. I want to develop my enthusiasm, patience, humility, commitment, and determination to make the most of this life transition, recharge my brain and my self-compassion as I search for a new reality, new connections, a new sense of me. I want a new relationship to myself and others, and to return to a larger purpose with renewed focus. Honoring my health span, I want to attend to the care of my body and mind so that the upgrade becomes possible. The Upgrade delves into doubts and misinformation in order to help you find your own answers. It is about solving the conflicts you have in your mind about how emotions, hormones, biology, and the brain work together. It is about having the courage to examine all of our qualities, rejoicing in some and improving others. It is about realizing you have a choice about your path in the second half of life. So much of what feels normal and natural to us, when you look closely, is soft-wired into us by hormones and environment. Some of it is great and helpful, but we receive so many messages about our supposed irrelevance in the second half of life that I've decided it's time to punch through. The more you know about neurochemicals, brain circuits, and the neurons throughout the body, the greater your chances of breaking out of old patterns to create a new life. And the greater the chance we'll be able to reach behind to the next generation and help them too. I'm acutely aware that my experience and the experience of the women I have encountered in my life will not represent the reality for many women who have struggled under much harsher conditions than I can understand and continue to function while carrying the heavy burden of systemic racism. Many of the women in this book identify as BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and all of them as cisgender, that is, the female identity they were born with. Their transition and upgrade stories exemplify experiences that reach across boundaries of race. Out of respect for the individuality of experience, I chose not to write outside my own knowledge and the understanding I have gained from my patients, family, and friends. To that end, I can't adequately address at this time the upgrade for transgender men and women. There is so much still unknown and under-researched that it might do more harm than good. But where there is something known, it is mentioned. And where there is something known about racial and cultural differences and the upgrade, it is also mentioned. Structural racism is embedded in the healthcare system. That is a given. I promise to do whatever I can to support the emergence of the upgrade for all women. To be seen, heard, and valued is what we all want, and what we need to give to one another and the ones we love. I have laid out the things I know and have experienced, the obstacles and glories in the upgrade. But as yet, there are no real developmental landmarks for women in the second half, and creating them so that we all can find our way forward is a collective effort. I want to learn about your struggles and victories too. And more than anything, I want you to know how much I value your experience and wisdom. I hope that something here might give you support, knowledge, understanding, and courage to overcome the many obstacles in the second half. We're all in this together. So let's start the conversation that no one seems to want us to have about life after the fertile phase. Changing the conversation starts with using the right words. I am proposing a new vocabulary for menopause and perimenopause, so that we don't have to rely on the M word and the P word, which literally refer to the end of fertility. The transition. The developmental phase of a woman's life in which the brain and body enter unfamiliar territory as the reproductive phase circuits are finishing their job. This is the phase formerly known as perimenopause. Just as the teen years are about so much more than hormones, so is the transition. The hormonal transition that shuts down fertility is front and center, but it doesn't remotely tell the whole story, nor does it represent who we are. There are also many psychological growth phases within the transition that include identity and the path toward authenticity. The transition marks a change in our relationships and societal roles. None of these transitions are explored in any of the literature about the phases of human development. The upgrade. The wisdom phase that emerges after spending decades in the hormonal war zone. Emerging into the most powerful identity phase of a woman's life, this is what was formerly known as menopause or postmenopause. Perimenopause and menopause are fossil words created by men at pharmaceutical companies. These words arose not because of an interest in helping women reach the upgrade, which is a whole-person explosion of growth and realization of potential. These words arose as men studied how to maintain elasticity and fullness in the parts of our bodies they, as cisgender men, like to interact with. That is, breasts and vaginas. I don't believe they encompass the full scope of the upgrade, and so I declined to use them. Other than in this
Sample complete. Ready to continue?